I'll lose my job over it.
First of all, you didn't use my tagline. Remember I called Kell Brook the San Antonio Spurs? You didn't use it in the simulcast against Earl Spence.
I didn't? Oh, doggone it. All right, I failed. See, look, I already failed. Okay. I'm already a failure.
Talk about JoJo Diaz, Gary Russell.
I think it's a very interesting fight. You know, JoJo Diaz is at 25, is a fighter who has built himself to this point, and he's so energetic and so anxious to win a world title, and so he brings a lot of that zeal and excitement into this fight. And he's a very, very good fighter. And for Gary Russell, who has been, you know, fights once a year, so that's always a question. You know, will there be rust? Will he be? No, that hasn't been a problem for him. But the other thing is that, I mean, for Gary Russell, JoJo Diaz, you can arguably make the case he's the second best fighter he's ever fought, because Vasily Lomachenko and Johnny Gonzalez are the two best fighters. And Johnny Gonzalez was, you know, pretty old and not really in his prime. Okay. So JoJo Diaz is the second best fighter that Russell ever faced. So I think it makes it an interesting battle. You know, Russell clearly with his hand speed and his skill set is the favorite in the fight, but not a prohibitive favorite. And so I think it's going to be a good fight.
Based off of your experience, when does the inactivity really start setting in with a fighter? Like 25, 30, 35?
That's a good question. I think the older you are, the more of an issue it can become. Though in some respects, you don't want to be fighting as often when you're older. But finding that sweet spot is the thing. Is whether it's once every 5 months or 6 months or 8 months, but you don't really want long layoffs. I don't want to be too heavy on this, but part of the reason why it hasn't bothered Russell is, for the most part, he's been so much better than his opponents that it hasn't created a problem. We'll see if this does. I mean, and let me tell you, you know, if he were to get an impressive win against Diaz, or win in a dominant fashion, that'd be a very good win for him.
Now, fast forward to some bigger guys. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard the news, but it says basically they're looking for November in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I think it's going to happen. I really do, and I think part of the reason why it has to happen in the United States at that time is they made that offer that, you know, is going to be hard for them to turn down, the big offer. And if you're going to do it this year, you can't do it, even if they wanted to say no and do it in a 90,000 seat stadium, you can't do it in November or December in England. So it makes sense in a way for it to be in the United States. And the reason Las Vegas makes sense is because you can get the big site fee from a hotel. Otherwise, someplace like Barclays Center would be great, but you get the big site fee, and because you can charge so much for tickets, the live gate for 20,000 people will probably come close to equaling what they get for 90,000.
Have you heard about Matchroom Boxing with the $1 billion deal with DAZN?
I saw the stories on it. I don't have any inside information, but it's a fascinating development. You know, I don't know. The other part to the story that I think is interesting is I don't really know that much about the online provider that they're using. I know they do sports and everything, but that's going to play some role too. In other words, how, number one, will people be willing to pay for it? Number two, will they deliver a good signal and all the rest of it? Those are all important issues. But it's an interesting development. And Eddie Hearn told us all he was coming to the United States, and now he's doing it in a big way. So
better than the Beatles?
Yeah, it's just kind of it's the new British invasion. Look, I can steal that line from you, but I don't use your line.
I'm posting this video today, so when they hear it tomorrow,
if they hear it tomorrow on the broadcast, they'll know I totally stole it from you. And you can, and then you can tweet it out, and there can be an investigation of me. I can be investigated by the Senate committee.
Well, I don't eat tacos and I don't eat burritos in Mexico, so it's fat-free, it's clean, so use it as much as possible.
That's right, so we can all be investigated and be clean.
My final question. Brian O'Cuss, before I walked up to you and Brian Custer was having a conversation, can you speak on the toughness of Brian Custer?
Oh, Brian's a great, you know, Brian is a wonderful, wonderful man, and he's gone through, you know, a difficult period that was not easy for him, and both Brian's physical struggles and what Morrow's gone through, and what will be detailed in his the documentary on May 25th on Showtime. You know, within our little group and family, we've had our share of things that people have gone through, and it's for me, you know, it's been a very heartwarming thing to watch them get through this and to watch them fight their way through it. And I'm really, for Brian, I'm so happy that, you know, he's feeling really good, and that he's come out on the other side of that. You know, it's just very tough, especially at his age, to be dealing with that. But he's, you know, I can honestly say, I have never worked with anybody in broadcasting as easy to work with or as much of a team player as Brian. He's a wonderful guy.
Well, you guys got a hell of a team, because a person that can give Paulie Malignaggi the mic and not ask for it back, you guys got a pretty amazing team.
Well,
you know?
we're a very interesting collection.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Oh, for
you
sure.
know, between Morrow and Paulie are these high energy, you know.
Absolutely.
And then I'm like, you know, somewhere in the middle. And Brian is just a very articulate, calm host. And you know, I just think it's an interesting group. And what's fun is we each bring a different dynamic to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the good thing about it is we all have one goal, and that is to make the broadcast better, and to try and not make us, even though there's strong personalities in there and we're known, we don't want to make us the story. We want the fight to be the story.
Absolutely.
That's the key element. And when we exceed that, we should be chastised.
Appreciate the time.
All right.
Thank you.
I think so. Very good.
Appreciate you, King. Yep.
All right. Take care. Hey, how are you?
Stand by, Quarles and Monterosa. Quarles and Monterosa.
Right, Emmanuel. Time to eat. Oh. I've been looking for you there. You a WBC champ too, y'all.
Yes, sir.
163.6 for elite. Emmanuel Lehman, Juan Carlos de Angel, a part of a loaded night of action. It is all brought to you by TQB Promotions. This is Lehman de Angel. They will face off tomorrow night here at MGM. National Harbor tickets start as low as $50. Get them now as they are going quickly.